Good morning everyone. Now we will see the last section, that is gravitation. Most of the things we already know about gravitation. Just for one revision, the first thing is universal law of gravitation. Universal law of gravitation, which is also known as Newton's law of gravitation, because since it was given by Newton, so Newton's law of gravitation. The statement is any two bodies or particles which will have mass, they will attract each other, and that attraction force is known as gravitational force. So in short you can write any two masses will attract each other, and this attraction force is known as gravitational force. Now this gravitational attraction force is directly proportional to masses of body. That means if the attraction force is acting between two bodies which are having a mass m1 and another body is having mass m2, then that is directly proportional to product of their masses. That means if the masses will have a large value, then the attraction force will also be large, and it is inversely proportional to square of distance between them, that at what distance they are kept with respect to each other, inversely proportional to square of that. That means if you will increase the distance, then the attraction force will decrease. Similarly, if you will decrease the distance, then the attraction force will increase. As from here, we can say that F is directly proportional to m1, m2 and inversely proportional to r square. And when we will remove this proportionality symbol, that is F, there will come one constant, that is capital G, m1, m2 upon r square. So this is gravitational attraction force, which is equal to F is equal to G m1 m2 upon r square. Here m1 m2 and r we know. This G is known as universal constant. Universal constant, that means it will have constant value throughout the universe. That means you can go anywhere, it will be constant, and that constant value will be equal to 6.67 into 10 raised to power minus 11 Newton meter square per kilogram square. Okay, so now we got F is equal to G m1 m2 upon r square. Now we will discuss some things about G. About F already we have discussed everything. Now if you want the value of G, then you will write here, this F was already here, bring this r square here, so it will be r square, bring this m1 and m2 here, so it will be divided m1 m2. This is actually your capital G, universal constant, or you can say universal gravitational constant, because we will have a lot of constants in physics. So you can add here gravitational constant. This formula is helpful in two ways. First thing, formula always gives the unit. This much long unit every time we cannot remember, because right now we have only some physical quantities, but as you will continue with physics, you will have a very large number of quantities. So every time just memorizing them is not possible. So we can derive it from here. G is equal to F r square upon m1 into m2. You see, you know that SI unit of F is Newton, that is force. Distance will be meter, and since here it is square, so I can put meter square, divided by mass will be kilogram and another mass will be kilogram. So it is Newton meter square per kilogram square. That is what I have written here. Numerical value anyhow we have to remember, because we don't have any other option. But yes, this thing, that means this formula, first thing it gave us unit, second thing it defines G, this G, definition of G, that means it gave us definition of G. Okay, so now if you want this G, as I said, you have to keep the things 1, so keep it as 1, keep it as 1, keep it as 1. So you have two masses of 1 kilogram each. You have a distance between both masses equal to 1 meter. Okay, since we are talking about CGS, so you will say 1 meter. then numerically your G will be equal to F, and this is our definition, that universal gravitational constant is numerically equal to force if it is acting onto masses between two masses of 1 kilogram each when they are kept at a separation of 1 meter. Separation means these are your M1 and M2 and this will be your R. Then numerically our G will be equal to force. Sorry. So again once we can repeat it, the G, universal gravitational constant, is numerically equal to force which is acting between two masses of 1 kilogram each and which are kept at a distance of 1 meter. If you want to define CGS, then define likewise only. It will be 1 gram and it will be 1 centimeter. But generally we define it in the form of SI because in physics we work with SIs more. Okay. Now we have some general characteristic properties of gravitational force. Nothing new, which we have learned in the first section about non-contact forces. Since gravitational force is also non-contact because it does not need a physical contact. So some properties are given here. The first property given is it is always attractive since the masses are only of same kind. Otherwise, you will be wonder to know that gravitational force is the weakest force in the universe. Among our fundamental forces, gravitational force is the weakest force, but still you see it controls the motion of planets, sun, with respect to sun, earth and sun and moon. Not only moon, all other satellites of other planets also. Even being the weakest force in the universe. The reason is this one only, that the mass is of only same kind. So it is always positive and finally it will be always attractive. There is no possibility of repulsion. Okay. Next thing, directly proportional to masses. Next thing, inversely proportional to square of distance between them. Next thing, generally we consider or we read it only for heavenly bodies, or you can say those bodies which will have a large amount of mass, since it is directly proportional to masses. So it is considered high for them only. For smaller particles or small bodies, the value of capital G becomes negligible. So it doesn't matter much. That means it becomes very weak. So generally we do not study it for the lighter objects. Okay. Some importance are given. I do not need to tell you because right now I told you that it controls the motion of planets around the sun as well as the motion of satellites around our planets. Now we will read something about Earth, that is about gravity. As we know that force of gravity is the attraction force which is applied by Earth on the objects on its surface or around it. That means because we are saying that any two body will attract each other which will have mass. So Earth is also having mass and any body on the Earth, it will also have mass. And that means the Earth will attract the objects towards it and the object will also have mass, so it will also attract the Earth towards it. That means now what we are having? We are having one Earth and we are having any one object on the surface of the Earth. Attraction force will be present between them because Earth will also have some mass, object will also have some mass. So the Earth will apply a force or attract the object towards it. Similarly, the object will also apply same amount of same amount of force on the Earth, but in opposite direction. That means it will try to pull this Earth towards it, whereas the Earth will try to pull it towards it. But finally, what we see the result is Earth is able to attract all the things and pull them towards it. Whereas the objects cannot pull Earth towards them, even though they are applying equal forces. That means here also it is 10 Newton, then here also it is 10 Newton, but it will be negative. But still, the object cannot attract the Earth. The reason is it has a huge amount of mass, and as we learned, if it will have a huge amount of mass, then it will also has a large amount of inertia, and your body and this object do not have that, cannot apply that much force so that it can overcome the large amount of inertia of earth. Otherwise the earth would have come and stick to the mass, right? But since the earth will not move from its place because it has a large amount of mass, otherwise both are applying equal forces on each other. But our concept is that earth attracts all the object. Earth attracts all objects towards its center. This is also one important word here, towards its center, because the gravitational force or the force of gravity we considered to be at the center of the earth. Okay, and that force of attraction is known as force of gravity, that we know. Okay, here when a body, that means the center of the earth will be on the surface of the earth now, means you can consider it as a spherical. Exactly, it is not spherical, but still you can consider. So we are saying towards the center. That means if any object is placed at some height from the earth, and if it is left independently, then it will fall down towards the center of the earth, that we know. In second chapter, we have also learned that this object do not fall with constant velocity, but its velocity increases, and increase in the velocity produce acceleration, and that acceleration is known as acceleration due to gravity. If it is happening due to gravity, then it is known as acceleration due to gravity, which is denoted by small g, and the numerical value will be 9.8 meter per second square, which sometimes we can also take 10 meter per second square if it is not specially mentioned in the question. Please don't vary the value. If it is mentioned in the question 9.8, that means you must take 9.8. No doubt it will increase some calculation problems, but still we will take it 9.8 only. So what we are saying, if any body is freely fall from a height, then it do not move with a constant velocity, but its velocity continuously increases, and that increase in velocity, actually increases, I have to write, increase in velocity will produce acceleration. That acceleration produced due to gravity is known as acceleration due to gravity, which is numerically equal to 9.8 meter per second square, and since it is a numerical value, so it is considered to be constant. That means g is constant, 9.8 meter per second square. Okay, next thing is, let me discuss here itself, we will not discuss it later. Here we are saying that g will be constant, but it is not actually true. Actually true means practically it's not true, because here we have considered the spherical shape of the earth, whereas we know that earth is not exactly spherical, due to which we know that the minor axis and major axis are not equal. So due to that, the value of g varies from place to place, but generally for a particular place we take it constant for numericals. Okay, so we know that the value of g at equator will be different from the value of g at the poles, right? So the value of g is somewhat less at equator, I'm writing in short, you can write it, but somewhat more at poles. Okay, one thing. And next thing is, but for numericals we will take it constant. Along with altitude and depth also, the value of g varies. That means again not constant. With depth as well as with altitude, the value of g decreases. In both the cases it decreases as you will move inside. That's why at the center, that also I can write, at the center acceleration due to gravity is 0, because with depth also it decreases, and with altitude also, that means height also, it decreases, whereas this is condition at equator, it is the value of g is somewhat less than at the poles. Now, one more important concept which was again given by Galileo only, that two objects of different masses, let m1 will be greater than m2, if they are fall from same height simultaneously, then they will reach on the ground simultaneously. Initially, it was considered that the heavier object reaches the Earth's ground earlier than the lighter object, which is actually based on the practical experiences in our daily life. But later, Galileo said it is not like that. Both the objects will reach on the ground simultaneously. This difference in the time of reaching on the ground, that is observed because of the friction force again. That means everywhere there is a variation in the concept, always this friction force is there. That is the buoyant force. Na? A little bit we have learnt about that. The fluids exert buoyant force in the upward direction or opposite to the motion of that object. So there will be one friction force or buoyant force working in the upward direction. So the real concept is that means both the objects, heavier or lighter, they will reach on the ground at the same time. Now we have to derive a relation between small g and capital G. Okay, so we will start from the concept that we know that the force or the weight, actually weight is a force that we know, which is equal to mg. This force is acting on the body which is having mass due to gravity only. So you can say that this, we are talking right now only about Earth. So that weight is equal to mg. That is acceleration due to gravity. And right now we have said that any two objects will exert a force which is equal to G capital M upon R square. Here capital M and R we have taken because we are talking about Earth. Capital M is the mass of Earth and R is the radius. So these two forces are same gravitational forces. That means both are acting between two bodies which will have some mass. So that means both the forces are equal, and if both the forces are equal, then they must be also equal. So G capital M upon R square must be equal to mg. This is the mass of the particle or the object which is kept on some height or on surface of the Earth. So since they are same, so they will cancel out each other, and now we have small g is equal to capital G capital M upon R square. This is a relation between small g and capital G, that is acceleration due to gravity and universal gravitational constant. Small g is equal to capital G M upon R square. Next concept is given that acceleration due to gravity on moon is 1/6 of acceleration due to gravity on Earth. The simple reason is because mass of moon is less than Earth, so the gravity will be also less. Our next topic is free fall, which we have discussed in detail in second chapter. Same free fall, there we have learned equation of motions. Same equation of motion we will see here. V is equal to u plus at, s is equal to ut plus half at square, and v square is equal to u square plus 2as. This we have seen three equation of motions, and now we will see the same equation of motion for gravity. Here a was acceleration, and now we are saying that the acceleration is equal to z. That means what you have to do is convert or replace this g into by this a by g. That means for free fall you can say that your v is equal to u plus gt, s is equal to ut plus half gt square, and v square is equal to u square plus 2gs. I am writing this before this so that you do not remember, need to remember a lot of equations. We will remember only these equations, then we will apply our concept, that is instead of a we can write g if we are talking about gravity. Similarly, one more concept we need to learn, that is if this g, if the body is moving in the downward direction, this g will be taken as positive, and if the body is moving in upward direction, this g will be taken as negative, because here you are working against gravity, and against means negative, and here you are working in favor of gravity. That means towards gravity or towards force only you are working. So here you have a positive value. So accordingly, if the object is moving in upward direction, convert all this plus into minus. One thing. Second thing, generally in the questions of gravity, it is given that a body is made to fall from a height of this. So made to fall means initially it was at rest. So generally this u can be 0. So if this u is 0, then all your first terms will be equal to 0. But no need of remembering then individually. You just put value 0 here, ultimately, automatically you will get gt. No need of remembering 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equations, right? We will remember only these 3 equations and then we will apply our concept of gravity which we have learned. Next topic is given about mass and weight. We already know about it. Just only one idea I will give you. Mass is actually the matter content in the body. That means it will depend on the number of particles and number of atoms, molecules, whatever you are having in your body. So that means it depends on size. Whereas weight is actually a force, right? This is actually a force, whereas this is the number of particles. Here particles, because it can be atoms or molecules, so we will use particles. Okay. Along with that, we know that this is a scalar quantity. It doesn't have any that direction, but this is a vector quantity because it is force, and force is a vector quantity. It will have direction. So it is a vector quantity. Here the SI unit is kilogram, whereas here the SI unit is Newton, because again I will say it is force, so it is Newton. Generally it is considered to be constant, whereas it is variable. But again here we will remember one concept, that is mass of a body remains constant until your body is moving with a speed less than 10 raised to power 6. As you will exceed this speed, then the mass will also become variable. But generally on earth, for measurements, we consider that mass is constant, whereas weight is variable. It varies or changes from place to place. And the concept which we have already seen is, we know that relation between weight and mass is weight is equal to mass into, you can write weight is equal to mass into acceleration into gravity. Now we have learned 2 units of force in this chapter, that is Newton and dyne. We have learned that this is the SI unit, this is the CGS unit. Now we will see 2 gravitational units. Generally we use for gravitational force. So gravitational units of force are kilogram force and gram force. This is obviously the SI unit as the name indicates, and this is the CGS unit. These are 2 gravitational units of force. This is kilogram force and this is gram force. So again, now we will obviously need the definition and relation. So first we will see the definition, that is 1 kilogram force is force due to gravity on an object of mass 1 kilogram. Similarly, 1 gram force is the attraction force or force of gravity on 1 gram of mass, that is known as, that means the attraction force on 1 gram of mass. If 1 gram of object is placed on Earth's surface, then with what force it will be attracted towards the Earth, that is 1 gram force. And if you are talking about SI, you can say kilogram. Okay, so the amount of attraction force or force due to gravity on 1 kilogram of mass is known as 1 kilogram force. Now relation between kilogram force and Newton, because ultimately our important unit is Newton only, so we cannot work without it. So 1 kilogram force is equal to 9.8 Newton. Very clearly we have to remember this relation, as well as 1 gram force is equal to 980 dyne. This also we will remember very clearly, these 2 units. Okay, so in this chapter we have learned 4 units: Newton, dyne, kilogram force and gram force. Rest of the things we will see in next class. Thank you.